Just when you think you've seen it all, a new adversary with a new strategy and new weapons. But have they learned from the mistakes of those before them? Let's find out. Every villain has their own dastardly plans in place to ensure their victory. And with the number of adversaries our heroes have overcome, we've seen a bit of everything. Armies, mind games, possession, all-powerful weapons, and more.
What, you wanted more?
And what can we expect from the shady hands that helped fill our favorite Soviet super spy's incredibly red ledger? In order to answer that question, let's have a look at some of our previous baddies and their plots for world domination and see how everyone sizes up. Since we'll be talking about the upcoming Black Widow film, here's the cursory spoiler warning. Spoiler warning! And with that out of the way, here are the best and worst MCU villain plots. Ultron had a pretty solid plan going for him. Robot army, check.
You had to ask.
This is the best I can do.
Weapon of mass destruction? Yes, indeedy. The DIY meteor collision is a go. With all that weaponry, it's funny to know his final goal was world peace.
Oh, I'm sure that's gonna be okay. I'm sorry.
The creation of a new era on Earth without the destruction, suffering, and conflict that plagues it, and the creatures that live here. That was his plan.
I'm glad you asked that because I wanted to take this time to explain my evil plan.
He does propose to do away with a good number of humans to achieve his goals, but that doesn't matter to him. He's a robot, silly, and humans are their own worst enemy, so he's doing everyone a favor, whether they like it or not. Luckily, there are a few wrenches thrown into the mix, the creation of Vision being a major factor in his downfall.
Are you ready?
So how does this all match up with the goals of the Red Room? Not well. See, the members of Leviathan are human beings, not robots controlled by a single AI, so mass extinction wouldn't really work entirely in their favor. Also, the process of uploading someone into a new super body may be slightly beyond their means. Taskmaster is amazing, but they aren't an AI. Programming and enhancement, sure, but there's a person behind that mask. Neither plan can be truly considered better or worse overall, just some different goals. Dreykov wasn't aiming for a world of robot supremacy, so I think he'd pass on this one. Killian's plan on paper is possibly the closest to Dreykov's own goals and creations. Step 1, create weaponized people. Step 2, use weaponized people and a personal army. Okay. Killian's main goal is profit. He wants to own the war on terror, amass wealth through violence. So what separates him from Dreykov? Dreykov is not a business mogul like the wannabe Mandarin. Also, Dreykov would likely do a bit more digging before selecting the name of a very real and sinister terrorist. That was a risky move that somehow didn't come to bite him. If Killian had lived a little longer, he may have run into some extra trouble. Aside from some of the reckless moves on Killian's part, the plans of the Red Room and this businessman seem to share some key components. The trained secret super soldiers, the illegal and immoral biotech. They both look for power in their way and wish to turn human beings into weapons, seeing their subjects as dispensable in the long run. Killian is more reckless than Dreykov, though the more superpower set he and his soldiers received may be the root of that. It's hard to make fire and explosives subtle, so creating a televised personality is a strong route to go to pass off the accidents caused by his project. Dreykov seems to prefer the covert, so it's unlikely he would televise anything, even if it was a scapegoat. But if he ever got his hands on a serum that creates powers like the Extremis, I'm sure he'd give it a go. We all remember Thanos, right? Right? It hasn't been that long, people. Big purple, likes custom bling, you know, yeah, that Thanos. So what was it he wanted to do again? Oh, right, yeah, half the entire population of the universe. Yep, that's a biggie. There were a few other steps along the way, some of which got abandoned as he just made his way through space, taking the stones himself. A valuable lesson, really. If you want it done right, do it yourself, and so he did. The Mad Titan made fairly short work of it all, bringing with him an army to aid in the assault on Vision for the Mind Stone. To get past the many heroes of the universe, such a large force was necessary, but it was worth it. He won. After using the gauntlet, he destroyed it, so no one could undo what he did, and he retired. Honestly, Dreykov would probably love the idea of the gauntlet. He would just create his ultimate and loyal warriors with less time and effort. One big issue there. Using the stones would likely kill him. Only Professor Hulk and Thanos could withstand the power and survive. It's a nice suggestion, but maybe longer-term training is the way to go here. Malekith, you looked so rad and seemed like you knew what you were doing when it came time to begin. A quick recap on Malekith here. Malekith is the leader of the Dark Elves, a race of beings who existed before the Big Bang created other life and added light to the universe. The elves thrived in the world of darkness and wished to use the Reality Stone, or the Ether as it's called here, to achieve those ends.
The Ether, firstly, is not a stone. Someone called it a stone before.
Once the universe was dark again, no one would have much of a chance against the Dark Elves. Malekith would be virtually unstoppable, a god just like his people believe him to be. That's one leg up that Malekith has on Taskmaster and Dreykov. Though both parties have incredibly loyal armies, one is programmed and the other group worships their leader. That type of loyalty doesn't have a magic cure, so the numbers of warriors on the side of the Dark Elves will only decrease through direct combat. As cool as becoming the king of a darkened universe, Dreykov is a human man despite his pretty messed up morals. He wouldn't thrive in a world without light, no sight, death to food sources, and the disappearance of the sun, not to mention the bitter cold that would follow. Brrr, a new ice age, really. Russian or no, a sunless world is going to be a bit too harsh, even for a hardened soldier. The goddess of death herself. She showed up like a bolt of Thor's mightiest lightning and turned the Asgardian world upside down. Being imprisoned for thousands of years gave her some time to really think on that plan and iron out all the kinks. Very little wonder why her initial takeover seemed so simple. Also, her powers are insane. She's a one-woman army, taking out Thor and Loki easily once released. Hela gains power from being on Asgard, meaning she beat her brothers at her weakest. The whole universe is a lofty goal for someone alone, but this goddess plans ahead. She ensured she had some help in the final stage. A whole undead army of help, really, plus a giant undead wolf. The only reason she lost is through the destruction of the city the heroes had tried to rescue. At least they evacuated before bringing the place down. Cue the Zeppelin. This plan isn't one that can translate to anyone other than the goddess of death. As Iria, Dreykov, and Taskmaster are, they lack the power of necromancy that Hela possesses, and the interdimensional gateway, and the ability to siphon power from a city. They don't teach that trick in the Red Room, do they? Overall, incredible plan here, but requires some inherited godly status and some serious magic to execute. Sorry, Dreykov. Aldrich Kilmonger. We hardly knew ye. A charismatic and well-liked adversary with a pretty solid plan. Step 1. Get into Wakanda, something no outsider has done before. Step 2. Make a claim for the throne and fight for the right to lead. Step 3. Become king. If you count the takeover of Wakanda as the whole plan, he succeeded. He did it. Wakanda was his, though not permanently. The whole final step was distribute the incredible technology and weaponry to people of African descent all over the world, providing literal weapons against the systematic racism that is present all over the globe. As much as I'm sure Dreykov would love the chance to become king of a highly advanced and wealthy nation who hide their assets from the rest of the world, it'd be a great place to build your secret assassin army. One big issue with that plan though, there's no way Dreykov could make the claim for the Wakandan throne. Wishful thinking, unless he's secretly another nephew of the former king. He's fresh out of luck. Oh, our favorite god of mischief, how we love you. But oh boy, there were indeed some holes in your plan. Let's start with the pros first, shall we? Starting off strong with the mega army, okay. Add in points for the scare factor of alien creatures, sure. Plus their advanced technology and the giant mega beast that flew out of the interdimensional rift. Also, nothing throws off the opponent like emotional turmoil. That scepter certainly came in handy.
This usually works. All performance issues, you know.
Now there are already a few similar aspects here. Incredible loyal army, some mind control in the works. All for the want of being supreme, unstoppable, all-powerful. But their plans have a very similar fatal flaw, a way to eradicate their army. And despite how much bigger and scarier Loki's army was, arguably far more destructive and powerful than the army of widows the Red Room created, it did fall like a house of cards. Yet you could probably kill the widow army with a nuke too, but this nuke didn't even hit all the enemies. Take out one ship and everyone goes down. And don't forget to park the mega ship in an up-close position by the interdimensional rift from which your enemies can definitely see. A bit of a whoops on Loki's end there. We all make mistakes, I guess. At least Dreykov is a bit more covert with his work. Point to Dreykov for that. So does the plan of Ivan Dreykov and the mysterious Red Room go above the Marvel plots we've seen in the past? Well, based on the fact that this film takes place before Infinity War, we know Dreykov and Taskmaster didn't achieve all they set out to. All in all, a strong start to Phase 4, everyone. Can't wait to see what the MCU brings us next. Come on, Garfield and Maguire. Bye for now.